All right, so this isn't the first time we've had a member of Arsenal Fan TV on the show before. We've spoken to Claude Caligari before, and he's very passionate about the club and obviously loves it. But now we're going into a new era where there's a new manager. Arsene Wenger's gone, Unai Emery is in. And we have the pleasure of the company of the man who actually started Arsenal Fan TV all those 6 years ago, I think now, Robbie Lyle. Welcome along to studio.
Good to be here.
Yeah,
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I didn't realise, because obviously Dublin isn't very far from the UK. This is the first time you've ever been here.
First time in Dublin, and which is a bit strange because obviously it's not very far away from London, and also I grew up with lots of Irish people.
Yeah,
and I've got lots of Irish friends, and I'm just like, have I not? When I was coming over on the plane, I was like, have I not been to Dublin before? Not been to Ireland before, and I've been to every...
As I was saying to you outside, I've never been to London before.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a bit, so it's a bit strange for me considering that I've been to probably most of the other European countries and a lot of other countries, but it's good to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah, so obviously the name is Arsenal Fan TV, so the Arsenal fan side of it, how did you get into Arsenal? Was it just a natural thing? It's from your parents and then it's one of these things that you kind of follow on, or how did you start supporting the club?
It's really my cousins who got me into Arsenal because they were like, they were really passionate Arsenal fans and they always used to go. Yeah. And they were just like, oh, you should come down to Arsenal. And I just sort of went down, and from the first time I went there, that was it. I loved it. I loved the atmosphere.
And what era was it actually?
That's 30 odd years ago. Yeah. And just the football we were playing, and then we then started to move into that era with like Ian Wright, and Rocastle and that. As sort of like a black kid growing up, it was just great to see these guys, especially Ian Wright. I was kind of idolised him. Yeah. And then I just started to love everything about Arsenal, the passion of the fans, going to Highbury, right through to the Invincibles, and it's just been my passion.
Yeah. And what if you were going to pick a favourite moment? And obviously Arsenal as a big club have had many good moments over the years in your lifetime, but if there was one moment you're going to pick, what's your favourite one from the pre-2012 era?
From the pre-2012 era, it's got to be for me. So I don't pick it as a one moment. It's the Invincible season because to go a season unbeaten. Yeah. I remember when Wenger sort of said that we could go a season unbeaten. He was laughed at. The football we played at in that era. It was just an unbelievable season, and it's to this day something that just fills every Arsenal fan with pride. The fact that you went a whole season unbeaten. I was just at this event that the
Grand Social.
The Grand Social, what the Arsenal Dublin guys were putting on, and they had Sol Campbell there speaking, and when he's speaking about the Invincible, that season, you can see the pride. He said that, he was even saying that, he wants one of them gold trophies that we got for himself. Yeah. So it was, you had so much pride being an Arsenal fan at that time. You go to play teams and they'd be like, oh, we just love... Arsenal was like everybody else's second team.
It was, actually.
The style of football that we played.
Even for, I grew up supporting Manchester United, but I actually... Now, I'm a bit biased because my dad supports Arsenal, so does my brother. So I always had a slight leaning towards them. I never hated them, even through the Wenger era, even if I despised all the other United rivals. But they had that thing about them that everybody kind of gravitated towards them because the football was of such a level.
Football was brilliant. We just played with a swagger. And we won things. It's a great time to be an Arsenal fan.
And in terms of then, you followed Arsenal, I suppose, all over the world, I think, as you've mentioned before. In terms of the cost of following Arsenal and how much you actually have to invest in terms of season tickets, travel costs, I don't know if you can put a number on it over a...
You know what, I've never really worked it out. Maybe it's a good job that I don't, because it's a lot of money. Obviously now... following them as, doing Arsenal Fan TV. Arsenal Fan TV is a business, so, now as we've got bigger and bigger, we're able to cover a lot of the costs for that. But when I first started doing this, I was spending ridiculous amounts of money to get to all the games and stuff like that. But, when you've got a passion for something, you do stupid things really with your money, and Arsenal's my passion. So, you know, it's just been enjoyable.
Yeah, and I guess that brings me kind of to the channel. So Arsenal Fan TV has been around since 2012, and I just have a few figures here in front of me. So you have 804,000 subscribers, which is huge.
I think it's gone up since I was looking at it this morning. It's about,
and then the cumulative views as well. We're talking 480 million views across all these videos, and some of them, I think the one that has the most views is well over 2 million, and there's a few that are over 1 million, and it's captured that much of an imagination. But when you started it, what was the plan? Why start in the first place?
The plan when I started it is I wanted to try and give Arsenal fans a voice. And
this was in a difficult era, obviously, because I used to hear about the AGMs, and obviously Wenger would speak at them, the members of the board would be there as well, and there was this sense that maybe the message from the fans wasn't exactly getting through.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, it wasn't even just things like AGMs and stuff like that. It was just literally, I just felt that every time my game finished, sometimes the stuff that I heard coming out from the experts and coming out from different people was not what I was hearing from fans. You know, I go to games and we go to the pub afterwards, or we'd be on social media afterwards, and what fans were saying was completely different to sometimes what the ex-players were saying or what the studio experts were saying. And I'm like, I looked at it and I'm like, you never hear from the fans. No, the fans don't have a voice, you know. And I'm like, they deserve to have a voice because we are such an important part of football. You know, the players, obviously, we know are very important. TV's important because that's what brings it to the masses. But those people who spend their hard-earned money, travel up and down the country, travel around the world sometimes following their club, what about them? How comes we never hear anything from them? How comes we never get their opinions after the game? So it was purely, I wanted to create a platform that could give those fans, no matter who they are, you know, whether you got 1 or 2 followers on, you know, social media, or if you got hundreds of thousands, whether you're a celebrity or whether you're just a fan that just goes every now and again, give you a chance to have your say on the football club that you love. Yeah. And it was quite a simple plan, and that was it. And then we just put it into effect, and yeah, it's just grown. I mean, those figures that you got, those are like the YouTube figures, but like some of our other platforms now are starting to our Instagram's got nearly 500,000 on now, which we started like quite a while after the YouTube channel. And collectively over all of our platforms, Twitter, Facebook, all the different social media platforms collectively, you know, we probably get way over 20 million views every single month. Yeah. So it's quite powerful. It's giving fans a chance to have their say. I mean, I've just come back from Singapore, and fans in Singapore were able to have their say on the friendlies that we played over there. So I'm quite proud of the fact that we're giving fans a chance to get their opinions.
Yeah, you talked about fans, you know, giving fans a voice. So there must have been some slight, dissatisfaction with the club, maybe post the Invincibles. Do you know when that kind of started, where there was a few doubts, where people were kind of thinking, do you know what, there's a few things wrong here, let's see, can we address these?
Yeah, well, obviously, you know, we sort of come about in an era where Arsene Wenger, I suppose you could say, looking back at it now, was coming to the end of his time. There was a lot of, you know, disgruntled fans over the past few seasons with with what had happened to the club, with the transfer dealings, with, you know, just the general decline really of, you know, first of all, having a team that was all conquering, brilliant, had all the best players, to reaching a sort of point where the team was in decline, you know, and, you know, other teams have passed us like Chelsea and Man City and Man United, and, you know, and a lot of fans really disgruntled. And, you know, I suppose at a time where fans really want to get their voices and get their opinions heard, we've been that platform that has enabled them to get, and not just in the bad times, but in the good as well, because we've won things like FA Cups and stuff like that over that time. So, you know, fans have been able to, in those good times, have their opinions as well. But, yeah, I mean, Arsenal have been in a decline for the last few years. And, yeah, we were there. to document that, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, because there was, I suppose, from the Wenger side, I don't know how much he would have necessarily talked about it, but the idea of building the stadium and the debt and everything else, like, were those kind of arguments, that were fans kind of taking those into account, or was it more just they were just looking at the players on the field? And I know you had the 07-08 season, which I think if that Birmingham game had gone differently, maybe you could have gone on and...
That was painful, I was at that game.
Yeah, you could have gone on and won the league, and the narrative would have changed. Maybe the whole idea of the club would have changed.
I think, listen, fans, what I saw from when we first started doing Arsenal Fan TV is at first fans were really taking a lot of that into account.
Yeah.
So the stadium, and I'd say that the majority of fans, probably 80 to 90% of fans were behind Arsene Wenger, and they were citing a lot of those things as the reasons why there'd been a decline. You know, we had to build a stadium, we've invested a lot of money in that, and Arsene Wenger was having to juggle a lot to literally just get us in the top 4. But then what started to happen is, once fans kind of found out that the stadium had more or less been paid off, and, you know, that side of things have been sorted, they started to look at it and say, well, hold on now. We want to see more investment in the club, more investment into players and things like that. And they weren't seeing that. What they were seeing was, instead of investment into players, all our best players being sold to our deadliest rivals a lot of times, and the team in decline. And obviously, if you're the manager of the club, when these sort of things are happening, you're the person that's going to start picking up a lot of the flack.
Yeah.
And it went from probably 90% of the fans supporting him to it going completely the other way. That by last season, I'd say the majority of fans, like probably 80-90% of fans, wanted Arsene Wenger to leave. You know, because they just felt that a change was needed and a new era was needed. So, as I said, we've been around in that period, in quite a transitional period, to kind of tell the story and let fans have their opinions. So it was quite a rough time over the past couple of years.
Yeah, and for us, I suppose, watching it on YouTube or wherever else, we've got to know some of the people like Claude, obviously, who we've had on the show before, Ty, DT, Troops, and some of the other people who are regulars on the show. How well would you have known them beforehand? I'm sure you would have met them all at games before this started.
The really funny thing is, I didn't know absolutely any of them. Not one of them before I started doing Arsenal Fan TV. I didn't know any of them. I went to games, you know, with my cousins. I went to games with, you know, some friends that I have. And that was it. And, you know, I didn't know any of them, not even one of them. And I've met all of them just along the way. We've interviewed, like say, for instance, Claude. When we first started, we started interviewing Claude. He's quite a charismatic guy and just became a real sort of favourite with people. They liked, if he didn't come on one week, we get emails from people saying, where's Claude? Why didn't you interview Claude? And then that's just been the same with recent guys like Troops and DT, all of these. I remember the first time we met Troops, we were packing up. We'd filmed at a game. I can't remember which game it was. I think we lost. And we'd actually finished all our interviews and we were packing up, and he came along and he said, I really want to say something. And I said, listen, I'm sorry, we've done. And we need to get these videos, you know, I go, there's still a process for us to do. We've got to, you know, edit these videos and upload them and get them out as quickly as possible. We just can't do any more interviews. And he's like, oh, please, I've got something to say. And he was going on and on. I said, well, all right, listen. And I said to the camera guy, I said, listen, we'll do this last one. And then he came on and he was very charismatic. He'd done an interview. The interview went viral. And then again, people were like, oh, get him back on. We loved the way we loved his opinion. He's a character. So that's how I've met every single person that's kind of become a regular on Arsenal Fan TV. I've met them through Arsenal Fan TV. It's not been through knowing them previously at Arsenal. So, you know, that's been another cool thing about it.
Yeah, and away from, say, the numbers and in terms of the cumulative subscribers, views, when did you realise this had actually exploded into, like, public consciousness, and that you weren't just somebody well known among maybe a small core of Arsenal fans, but, you know, the world, or at least a large number of people are talking about you?
I think we did an interview probably about 2 years in, and it was with this guy called Chris Hudson. And it was after we lost the first game of the season against Aston Villa, and, like, it wasn't even the fact that we lost that game. It was that whole summer, we didn't really, in the transfer business, it was so frustrating. Everybody was like, we should sign this person, that one. We didn't sign anyone. And then it was the first game of the season, we got beaten, and everybody was fuming. And we interviewed this guy, and the video went viral. And I remember I woke up at that time, because when I first started doing Arsenal Fan TV, I was working a full-time job at the same time. Up until about, I only gave that job up about 2.5 years ago. And, I woke up the next morning and I was getting emails from all these newspapers and BBC and this and that, and asking, they want to speak to me, they want to speak to that guy, they want to use the video clip. And that's when I started to realise, hey. And then over the past, especially over the past year and a half, you go out to the shops, just your local shop, and people want to take pictures with you, and everywhere you go, people know who you are, whether it's the football or, and it's just been crazy. And that's when I started, I was one day, I was like, how comes I've become so famous all of a sudden? And then I started to realise, well, hold on, if you're in practically every video that's coming out on Arsenal Fan TV, and 20 million people.
You're the one constant. The other people might change the video, but
and
you're always there.
20 million plus people are watching it every month. Actually, you are going to be quite well known, and it's crazy. I mean, wherever I go in the UK, wherever I go around the world now, people know who I am. So that's been a bit mind-blowing,
It's obviously mind-blowing, but it's a blessing, but then it can be a bit of a curse, I'm sure, as well, because as much as there will be people who will be, will give you a clap on the back, there's always going to be negativity when something explodes.
Listen, I always look on it as purely a positive. You get haters, you get people that, even like Arsenal fans, you get some Arsenal fans that don't like what we do. They're like, oh, you should only film, as some guy last year was saying to me, you should only do a video when you win. So I said to him, well, hold on a minute. Then we're defeating the object. If we only do a video when we win, then what we're doing is we're becoming like what we was against in the first place. We wanted honest opinion. So you've got to take the rough with the smooth. If we lose badly and fans want to have their say, you've got to let them have their say. If we win and fans want to have their say, you've got to, so you get it. It goes with the territory. Sometimes some of the negative stuff isn't nice, but you know what? It's the good stuff far outweighs that, and I'm a kind of person that I'm quite a positive person, and I really don't let that get me down. The negative stuff.
Do you feel like you're an influence now in terms of like the size of the channel across different platforms and a lot of people watching? Do you feel maybe that voice that you did want to bring, maybe it is having an impact, maybe not on the club itself, but on the fan?
Yeah, I really do. I think we've had an impact. I've seen like lots of other teams start up channels. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of even established media copying a lot of what we do. So we are quite influential now in what we do. I've had people in the media or footballers and that come out and speak about us, sometimes speak against us, and I've got a platform where I can reply to it. So
there's a couple actually. Hector Bellerin, I saw just a very I don't think he actually specifically mentioned the name Arsenal Fan TV, but I think it was kind of inferred.
Well, I think he did.
Yeah, but it was at the Oxford Union last season, and he wasn't particularly happy. And then obviously you had Gary Neville on, where you actually sat down with him. He'd made a few comments, and then I think it was yourself, Claude, a couple of others were kind of sat with him. How did you find dealing with those two particular situations?
The Gary Neville one was great because it started off as a real negative because he had a pop at us, and I then responded back and said that I wasn't happy with what he said and gave him the reasons why, and then it just culminated in us actually Sky reaching out to us and say, listen, why don't you guys all sit down and have a talk about it? And you can put across your side of things and he can put across, because we're disrupting the industry really. We're a new type of media. And we sat down and we had a great discussion. And that was really, really good. The Hector Bellerin thing, we've not been able to sit down and have a discussion, unfortunately. I hope that one day we can. I didn't really like what he said, but it's his opinion. And I respect that, because, there are fans that come on Arsenal Fan TV and have a go at Hector Bellerin. I don't think he had a great season last year. And I think a lot of fans were unhappy with some of his performances, and maybe he didn't like that. And I understand that. But the integrity of what we do is being honest. And if a fan's going to come on and criticise Hector Bellerin for his performances, they can do that. And if Hector Bellerin doesn't like the fact that they're criticising him, that's up to him. What I didn't like of what he said is when he said that we're just on a hustle.
Right.
I found, I thought, that was a bit out of order, because this is not a hustle. We work really, really hard. We travel to every game.
What was he implying with that term?
Well, it's almost like as if to say, yeah, they're just hustling a little, almost like as if to say, yeah, we hope that the club will lose so that we can just hustle a little. And I thought that was a bit out of order, but it's his opinion. And so I'm a big man, and I'm a person that I was looking at and say, listen, it's his opinion. I'm going to give you my opinion now. This is my opinion, right? I don't agree with you. And then, it went back and forth a bit, but, I still have nothing against Hector Bellerin. I still rate him as an Arsenal player. I'm still 100% behind him when he plays. I just didn't agree with what he said. This is not a hustle. We work extremely hard. We built this, off of our own back. I remember when I first started this, man, I was working, all my money was going into this before this was able to start paying for itself.
Yeah.
So by no means is this like a little hustle where we hope the team loses so that we can get a few videos. And that's not how this thing works either. If anybody understands the ins and outs of this, if we were just relying on the team having a bad performance so that we could get viral videos, we would have gone bankrupt ages ago. What do we do now throughout the summer?
Yeah.
Where the team's not even playing, what would we do? How do we create videos?
Yeah, it's related to a question I kind of had anyway, because as you grow, there's always going to be an expectation to have more content and actually maybe diversify content. So how have you responded to that over the last few years as the channel has grown and people now, instead of just popping on to actually see a video from time to time, they actually they are actually looking out for Arsenal Fan TV and looking for different types of content? Well,
we create videos now daily, so like for instance, at the moment during the summer, we've had videos every single day. I do a video every day called Transfer Daily, where we give an update on all the transfer rumours around Arsenal. That comes out every single day, right from the start of the transfer window till the end of the transfer window. So we creating videos all the time. We've started new podcast shows. We started new shows like which was one that we started last year called the Bias Premier League show, where we look at all of the Premier League games, but from an Arsenal bias. So we're doing so much more content now. And then like with the new season ahead, currently sitting down, working out loads of new content, new shows, more interactive stuff. We're doing a lot of stuff on different platforms as well, like Instagram. And coming up to this season, we're going to be creating a lot of special content for specific platforms where for instance, using Instagram as an example, we're going to be creating a lot of Instagram specific programs for that audience, because you've got a lot of people that they have their preferred
channel or
social media platform. Yeah. There's some people that YouTube's their thing. There's other people, Instagram's their thing. There are other people that all they do is Twitter. There's other people so it's really difficult because you have to be across all of them. And we're now looking at it and saying, well, we need to start creating more bespoke content for all of these different channels. So we're going to be doing a lot more of that this season. We've got a brand new female presenter that's going to be coming on board that I think everyone's going to like. She's done some content for us during the World Cup. She's really good. And we're just looking to create more and more excellent content because, as you're right, as you get bigger, the demand is more. And people, even I was over in Singapore the other day and people are like, we want more.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we try and give you more, but we want to give you not just more, we want to give you quality. We want to give you stuff that you enjoy. And I'm always all about, it's still about the fans. I want to give people stuff that they can interact with, they can get involved with, they can get their opinion. Even if I'm doing the show, so if I'm doing Transfer Daily, I always sort of round up the show by getting some of the ordinary fans' opinions on certain rumours and that, as well as mine. So we're going to continue to do that and continue to grow in that way.
Yeah, I suppose as a final question before I let you go, obviously you're here for the Arsenal-Chelsea friendly that's happening in the Aviva Stadium in Dublin. Obviously, we're in a new era, as I kind of said at the beginning. So you've Unai Emery, who's come in as new manager. Wenger's gone, so that there's a full stop on that now. But do you think there's going to be real change? It's not just replacing a figurehead for a new figurehead, and maybe that, you know, because the board is still there. There's not much change there. So are you optimistic now this season and beyond?
So I'm kind of twofold at the moment. I'm optimistic. I think as well as the Unai Emery change, they've made a lot of changes at Arsenal behind the scenes. They've literally got rid of everybody who was there before. There's only, you know, there's some people still remaining, obviously, but like, you know, it's new medical staff, there's a new recruitment team recruiting the players, you know, and that's shown. You know, you can see Arsenal, they went out and they've done most of their transfer business really early. This is something that we never ever do. Normally it's lastminute.com, we're getting down to the last day and we're doing most of our business then. So I'm really like all those parts. I'm still not happy with how the ownership of the club is operating. I still
about the man Silent Stan or Stan Kroenke.
Stan Kroenke, I still think that I would like to see him putting more of his own investment into the club. I mean, you've got a brand new manager that's come in, and I think the manager they appointed was a good appointment. I think what they've done behind the scenes in changing a lot of things is positive. It needed changing. Yeah. However, the one constant is we still got the same owner I'm still not convinced. You know, like, I look at the transfer budget that he's given to this new manager, and to me, it's not enough. If you've got a new manager that's come in, back him. And I know that, you know, for the owner of the club, I know the difficulty is that we're not in the Champions League, so there's a big drop in revenue. But I think as an owner, you have a responsibility where you've got to say sometimes, I might have to dig a bit into my own pocket here and give my new guy some extra money so that he can go out there and get the players in to try and win the league. Win the league. I'm not saying you're going to win the league, but you can only compete to win the league if you've got the best players. Look at every league across Europe. Juventus, they spend the most money. In Italy, they win the league nearly every year. PSG win the league nearly every year. They spend the most money in France. Bayern win it in Germany. They spend the most money. City are winning it, or Man United, you know. So if you're not going to invest, you might get into the top four, but you know, what are your ambitions? As the owner? Is your ambition to get into the top four? Which I felt that a lot of times with the Arsene Wenger era, that's what the ambition was, and he used to pick up a lot of the flack for it. But are the owners backing the manager enough? Is that owner, as I said, you've got a new guy in charge now. Where's your investment to say, we got 50 million budget, but I'm giving you another 30, 40 out of mine, you know? And I'm frustrated because we've got two billionaires on the board. We've got Stan Kroenke owns 70%, Usmanov owns like 30%, right? They're billionaires too, and they can't work together. They don't like each other, they don't work with each. These are two guys, both of them, that, you know, Usmanov got way more money than Abramovich. So it's still that up there, still frustrates the life out of me, but I'm really happy with this new manager. I like what I see. I think there's, from what I see around the club, there seems to be a lot of harmony with the players. They seem to be focused. So that's good, but if we want to win the league and we want to win the Champions League and that, is this owner the right guy to get us there? I'm not convinced at the moment, you know what I mean? Because I'm not seeing him invest his personal, you know, I know it's easy for me to say because, you know, I'm not in his position. But I'm just looking at it and saying, you know, where's yours? Where's your money? You know, you're earning a lot out of this. And also, do I see enough from him to think that he cares enough about this club? He's got a lot of interest in America, a lot of American sports teams and that. How many times a week does he wake up and think about Arsenal?
That's the question. I think we're going to have to wait and see now for a while. But Robbie, thanks a million for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming into Dublin.
No,
I hope you enjoyed the city for the short amount of
I
time.
know, yeah, I'm going to have to come back, you know what I mean? The taxi driver's saying to me, come back and bring your kids and explore the place. And I said to him, that's a good shout because it's only an hour's flight. So I've got to
take in, I'd say, a League of Ireland game. We've our local clubs here as well.
Yeah,
so
that'd be great.
It's a different kind. It's obviously smaller than Arsenal, but obviously different kind of thing. But
it's football.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks a million for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a million.
Cheers.